Forward! Forward! Forward!
Fall in. Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. Y'all know what it is. It's me, your boy Trey, and you rocking with your favorite vets on the net. First Formation Morning Sports Talk. So come and fall in as we getting it. When you know there was a whole lot of sporting going on yesterday, of course. First and foremost, Major League Baseball action. Arizona Diamondbacks take on the Washington Nationals 5-3 Diamondback for the makeup game from June 8th. Atlanta Braves and Philadelphia Phillies 5-1 Atlanta. Seattle Mariners take on the New York Yankees, so a thrashing 10-2 score in 9 innings play. Miami Marlins and Pittsburgh Pirates face off 6-4 Marlins. Kansas City Royals take care of business over the Tampa Bay Rays, just edging them out by 6-5. The Cleveland Guardians take on the Oakland A's Athletics. For those who don't know, 6-1 Guardians. Boston Red Sox fall to the Minnesota Twins by the score of 6-0. And then the largest of the shutouts yesterday, of course, San Diego Padres and the San Francisco Giants. Padres 10-0 in their win. So going on, moving on into the NCAA baseball action. As y'all know, the uh, one ranked Wake Forest Demon Deacons and the LSU Tigers, who are fifth ranked, had a battle as they were looking to take care of one another to determine who would go to the College World Series Championship. As LSU fought back from the losers bracket, I guess you could say, in the double elimination tournament to put themselves in position yesterday, getting the 5-0 win, 5-2 win over the Demon Deacons, forcing a game three in their series to determine who would end up going to play against the University of Florida Gators in the World Series Championship. Once it was all done, 11 innings played, a walk-off home run by Timmy White, two two-run shot to left field to take care of the side in grand order, walking away with a 2-0 win in 11 innings as Skeen and Louder did not disappoint. 7 innings, 8 innings pitched apiece, leaving the games up to their relievers, in which only one was able to walk away. Uh, Game one of the College World Series Championship Series will take place on Saturday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. The best of three series to where we see who walks away as the champion. LSU, Florida, second ranked Florida versus fifth ranked LSU. It's a whole SEC party once again in the College World Series as well as in a college sports event. SEC center stage, of course. In other action, WNBA, 3 games scheduled last night, 3 games played. Fever take care of the Storm by the score of 80-68. The Connecticut Sun take care of the Minnesota Lynx 89-68. And last but not least, the Washington Mystics handle the Chicago Sky by a 21-point blowout by the score of 80-59. Of course, tonight's action will put two teams in play as the New York Liberty face off against the Atlanta Dream, um, and the Los Angeles Sparks will do battle with the Dallas Wings in a WNBA Commissioner Cup game. Coming up on the weekend, of course, Saturday and Sunday, having games with the WNBA on Saturday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. in both games. The Indiana Fever take on the Las Vegas Aces 5-7 versus 11-1, and the Phoenix Mercury would do battle versus the Seattle Storm in the NBA's Commercial Cup game um, on Saturday. And then, of course, lastly on Sunday, slate of three games in which the Sparks will face. So we're running back with the Wings, the Sky, and the Suns, and last but not least, the Mystics and Liberty will face off in the afternoon. So last night, I'm very sure, or yesterday, I'm very sure everyone was tapped in for the NBA for a plethora of reasons. Of course, we know the NBA had their uh, NBA draft last night. We're going to get to that. But prior to that, as we know, the free agent season is coming up, and all the teams are presumably jockeying themselves in position to build a better team before they really take a comprehensive look at what it is they can get, or who they can offer, or who their targets will be for the season. Um, what probably was the most interesting of the moves yesterday, prior to the beginning of the NBA draft last night, was the Phoenix Suns and Washington Wizards came to an agreement. Correction, not the Phoenix Suns. The Washington Wizards and the Golden State Warriors came to a decision as they look to make a move, sending Chris Paul to the Golden State Warriors in with Jordan Poole, Ryan Rollins, and two picks: the second pick from the 2027 draft, as well as this first round pick, which is top 20, I think, protected in 2030 from the Washington Wizards. So that's a 5-man trade in state. Chris Paul going to the Warriors. Now he would be linked up with Drake. Well, not Draymond. Definitely he'll be linked up with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Um, but I think there's more to that when you look at it, or was not going to be what is expected. Honestly, taking a look at that pairing now, of course, Chris Paul, 38 years old, going into what this is 19th season in the league. Is that trade really um is that really that great of a trade, honestly, when you look at it? Of course, like I said, the Wizards do to get Ryan Rollins and Jordan Poole, two picks in future picks in the 2030 first round pick, which is top 20 protected, as well as a 2027 second round pick. Those picks are 4 to 6 years, 4 to 7 years in the making. No telling what the teams will be in by that time, or how this will by that time. Definitely, Chris Paul will be long gone, and Jordan Poole and Ryan Rollins will just be potentially in their primes as NBA players. Interesting enough, when you look at the that Golden State just signing Jordan Poole last year. So it really comes into a position of where, was this a move to potentially remove everything that happened in regards to the debacle between Jordan Poole and Draymond Green, as well as a situation to where Golden State's trying to set the table to potentially and possibly bring Draymond Green back into the fold. I know Draymond Green did speak about and talk about how he really felt that he did a disservice to the team, of course, with the altercation with Draymond Green, and in state, which he also said that he really felt like he had lost his voice, and it was kind of hard for him to interact and be the person in which he has always been as a voice, his grit, his style, and how he does things after the unfortunate situation with him and Jordan Poole. So looking at this, understand bringing Chris Paul in, or what the expectancy could be, but on the surface, when you that's on the surface, but would you really start to get past that dermatitis area? Is Chris Paul potentially having him in the fold with two of the greatest shooters in the NBA currently, arguably all time? Is that going to be effective? Can this work? Chris Paul at the one, Steph at the two, Klay Thompson at the three, most likely Wiggins at the four, and of course Mooney or whomever, Moody or whoever they have in the fold, bring it up at the five. Could this be a potential starting five for the Golden State Warriors? Is there a possibility where you keep Steph on the on ball and Chris Paul basically comes in as a relief on the second unit? What is the expectancy? Of course, there was a couple of moves made last night, or one particular one made by Golden State last night, as they bring in potentially another shooter in the in Podzic guys, or I got to pronounce his name. But what is this trade going to end up being like? Now Jordan Poole goes over to the Washington Wizards, in which now he is potentially going to well, he's likely to be the starter. Initially, on first look, when you look at it, that knowing that Tyus Jones was also traded just the day before in the three-team trade with Boston, Memphis, and Washington. Expectation was that Tyus Jones may be the starting point guard. But I think there was a couple of point guards that was taken yesterday, youth movement. So still to be seen in the state. But what is definite is, as I stated before, Utah Jazz 2.0 for the 23-24 season. That being Wizards, all the fire sales moving on from their top tier talent for the most part, and bringing in and just rebuilding, tearing it down, and rebuilding. That's Bradley Beal gone, Kristaps Porzingis gone. Kyle Kuzma went ahead and made and opt out of his deal, looking to go potentially get into another home or get paid more so for his services if he was to stay in Washington. Um, Whole lot of moving and shaking going on. Um, Additionally, once that all being said, the final, um, I guess you could say, the final numbers on the Phoenix and the Phoenix deal that sent Bradley Beal to Phoenix for was sent Bill to Phoenix from Washington State. In state, of course, is the Suns are sending second round picks in 2024, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 30, which is five picks, six picks, second round picks in the coming years, as well as pick swaps in 2024, 2026, 2027, 2028, and 2030, as well as from Bradley Beal, Isaiah Todd, and Jordan Goodwin to the Suns for, of course, then Chris Paul and Landry Schmidt in cash consideration. And of course, as we just talked about, they Washington Wizards turns sent Chris Paul to Golden State for Jordan Poole, Ryan Rollins, and another first round pick in 2030, which again is going to be top protected. I think top 20 protected, as well as a 2027 second round pick. So far in two trades, the Washington Wizards have collected one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight second round picks, as four pick swaps, cash consideration, the additional first round pick, and two players. Not a bad haul. Now we'll see what they turn into, what they can turn it into. Moving on, as I said, the draft last night. Of course, before we get directly into the draft, there was a couple of moves made. You know what? No, I won't do that. Wait, I will basically go over the draft. We are running back. Of course, as expected, as we were going to go through the top um, 30 picks in the draft for the most part. Come back and talk about some of the trades and things that were made, and ideally, in state once that's all said and done. Um, Look at the way ahead. Of course, I won't have to go back. Hopefully on Monday we'll be able to talk about what has been picked up, who has picked up, as now the undrafted free agents are able to be picked up, talked to, and picked up by other teams. As you know, they're going to start to get ready for the summer league. That's coming in a couple of weeks. Um, But first and foremost, as expected, San Antonio Spurs with the first selection of the NBA draft go with Metropolitans 92 from France. Victor Wembanyama going number one overall to the San Antonio Spurs, just as expected as he walked up to the podium, towering over Commissioner Adam Silver uh, in the first inaugural as he took his hat and takes the photo ops with the commissioner. Um, I mean that was ideal. No one that was no surprise there. The expectation going forth as that happens. Additionally, moving forth, number two pick overall, of course, what we would have as expected between one of two players, that even being Brandon Miller or from Alabama or Scoot Henderson, G League at night, um, starting point guard, and the Charlotte Hornets selected Brandon Miller for Alabama to be the second pick overall. He gave conversation and talked about um, just recently about him and Jordan going back and forth, where he said that Jordan told him that all he is a shooter. Brandon Miller responded with, he's old. Another conversation which asked, which is unlikely. We just had the conversation in reference to goats yesterday. Brandon Miller had a conversation. I guess he was asked a question about who his goat is, and emphatically, clearly, without blinking, Brandon Miller stated that Paul George was his goat. Of, of any of the likely sources, Paul George over Jordan, Kobe, Steph, Magic, LeBron. Brandon Miller says his GOAT is Paul George. A shift in a seismic shift when you think about it from a certain standpoint, but understandable due to the fact of Brandon Miller's young. He watched um, Paul George play, or he has a more of an inkling for Paul George than LeBron James and some of the people that play because they technically play in the same era. So that was the in state in that. So Brandon Miller selected number two overall by the Charlotte Hornets. Number three, which was no surprise, of course, point guard from the G League at night, Scoot Henderson going to Portland to team up with Damian Lillard. As now we'll see what Portland can do to put players around them. Of course, Scoot in all his bravado and uh being a lightning bolt for the attention as he's garnered playing with the G League Select for 2 years as he first entered into their organization at the age of 17. Now an NBA professional at the age of 19 and having the opportunity to go forth and put together some runs with Damian Lillard, hopefully to turn the team around, turn the right franchise around, and bring on a more of a winning culture. In an unlikely source, of course, which was a first time in NBA history, draft history, the Houston Rockets and Detroit Pistons in tandem made history by selecting brothers in the first round of the first round top five, as they selected Amin Thompson and Asir Thompson, both from Overtime Elite, um, in the fourth and fifth positions. Unlikely, of course. I mean, unfortunate now they're going to be playing on opposite coasts, but they are NBA professionals now as the Thompson brothers go fourth and fifth, respectively, and rounded out the top five. Brandon Miller, Victor Wembanyama, Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson, Amin Thompson, Asura Thompson, um, going from there. Of course, when you start to look at it to finish off the top 14 or the lottery as we know it, the Orlando Magic, not a bad pick. Anthony Black, guard from Arkansas, Indiana Pacers, selected by Bilal Khaled Labali from France, running mate to Victor Wembanyama. Jarris Walker was drafted by the Washington Wizards out of Houston. At 9, Utah Jazz select Taylor Hendricks forward out of Central Florida. At 10, the Dallas Mavericks select Cason Wallace, guard out of Kentucky. At 11, Orlando Magic select Jet Howard, guard out of Michigan. Of course, if you don't know, Jet Howard is the son of Hall of Fame Dewan Howard, coach from the University of Michigan, member of the elite and historic Fab Five from Michigan, um, two-time NBA champion. Uh, so Jet Howard has a tree that he has learned from, and he's engaged now, currently looking to do damage and have fun in Orlando. At number 12, Oklahoma City select Derek the Lively the second. As we know, last year Derek Lively was the number one overall prospect going into that year, and as he played for Duke. At number 13, correction, yes, at number 13, Toronto Raptors select Grady Dick out of Kansas. The New Orleans Pelicans select Jordan Hawkins off the NCAA 2023 um, NCAA basketball champions, Connecticut. He would be going to team up with CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, and Zion Williamson down in New Orleans. At that, so that closes out that top that the lottery picks. Additionally, the other half of the NBA pitted the top six. Correction, let me go back. The 16 Utah Jazz select Keontae Gray out of Baylor. The Los Angeles Lakers. I was so disappointed in this. The Los Angeles select Jalen Hood Shafino. Fino, of course, when you take it into the acronym, meaning failure is not an option, was selected by the Los Angeles Lakers at the guard position out of Indiana. And just behind that, the Miami Heat select Jaime Jaquez, a forward from UCLA. I was hoping that the Lakers, if he was available, they would have took him. Jaime Jaquez just has that grit and grind that I think would have been perfect to offset the Lakers, which has got a hard nosed player that's willing to go get it. Um, Unfortunately, Lakers passed on him. Miami Heat picked him up right after that. Key for my very sure Postra and Riley making some moves, doing exactly what they needed to do. Um, Golden State Warriors select Brandon Prazimski, who is expected to be a great shooter out of Santa Clara, a guard forward combo. Another thing in which I looked at for LA, leaving shooters on the board, of course, um, which has been a staple Achilles heel in the size of the Los Angeles Lakers. But of course, they did that. Will remain to be seen. Still got to take in consideration there is a free agency period in which LA may be looking to bring in shooters in that way. So we still have to get to be seen. Additionally, a huge fall from out of the lottery into the bottom half of the draft. Cam Whitmore, forward out of Villanova, fell to the Houston Rockets at the 20th spot. But maybe not bad as he would be teaming up with fellow rookie from within the draft in Amin Thompson. So maybe a GM fell to Houston to where they get another young player with the opportunity to possibly rebuild their organization. Well, you know, Emi Aduka, currently the head coach of that organization, did wonders with Boston. Maybe he turns around the young core in Houston going forth. At number 21 and 22, the Brooklyn Nets had two picks, selecting Noah Clowney, forward center out of Alabama, and with the 21st pick and with the 22nd pick, Dariq Whitehead, guard out of Duke. Back on the clock again at number 23, the Portland Trailblazers selected Chris Murray for Iowa. Sacramento in the 24th pick picks up Olivier Maxson Prosper out of Marquette. The Mr. Grizzlies pick up Marcus Sasser out of Houston, a senior guard out of Houston, their leader. Indiana Pacers running back with Ben Shepard, a guard out of Belmont. Charlotte Hornets, Nick Smith Jr., another drop late from out the top 20 out from the lottery pick. But again, another young player going to Charlotte that's going to most likely bring on competition in there, teaming with the Ball brother to see if they can make things happen along with Brandon Miller. And then the final two picks, of course, we know the Indiana Pacers selected Julian Strother from Gonzaga, but we know that pick, as we learned earlier in the day, will belong to the Denver Nuggets, as well as the 32nd pick in the draft. And last but not least, in the final pick of the first round, the Los Angeles Clippers selected guard forward Kobe Brown from Missouri. Of course, if you didn't notice, a couple of picks that teams didn't, plethora of teams didn't pick in the first round. That being the New York Knicks, the Denver Nuggets, although they did get back in the first round with a couple of trades. Milwaukee Bucks, Chicago Bulls, Cleveland Cavaliers, Phoenix 76, Philadelphia 76ers, the Phoenix Suns, as well as the Timberwolves and Boston Celtics, all not having any picks in the first round for the most part, or traded their way back into the first round to get in on the selections. So before I go get into the second round, of course, there were a couple of trades throughout the course of the night. First and foremost, beginning with the 10th pick, which of course was the Derek Lively pick, um, which was a correction. What was the Mason Cason Wallace pick was basically the 10th pick by the Mavericks was sent to um, the Oklahoma City Thunder, in which put Derek Lively the second in play for the Mavericks. So that's how Derek Lively got to Dallas. He is currently in Dallas at the number two at the 12th pick, traded to the Thunder. I mean, the 10th pick traded to the Thunder for the 12th pick, which of course became Cason Wallace, now a uh, Oklahoma City Thunder, and Derek Lively the second is a Maverick um, at the last night. Additionally, other picks made, swaps or trades made. The Pacers traded. The Pacers traded um, Bilal Kabeli to the Indiana Pacers for their eighth pick, um, Jarris Wallace, plus two 2028 second round picks. So already the Wizards making short moves, quick moves as they've traded some of the picks in which they garnered over the course of the last couple of days. Two second round picks in 2028 going to the Pacers for Bilal Calibi, which is interesting when you look at it again that high, using those draft picks and a swap to bring in yet another point guard for the most part, in which now puts me in position thinking that is he expected to be a role player right off the bench, or is he going to be the starter, which would put Tyus Jones, who is coveted as being one of the premier backup point guards in the league, as he's been sitting by idly waiting. Does this put him in position to where now he goes back to the bench um, to serve as a backup to the rookie coming in, or will this rookie come in and basically serve, or is how it's going to go? We'll end up seeing, of course, other trades, of course, throughout the course of the night. The Kings have in favor a, a a trade in which Olivier Maxon Prosper was traded to the Mavericks for what is to be determined as a pick. So the Kings move Olivier Maxon Prosper to the Dallas Mavericks after the Dallas Mavericks just again got a little younger in their locker room, uh, to picking up two prospects in the top 30 so far. Watching the Mavs do work and see what they're going on, bringing in pieces as they move players here and there. As we know, Bertrand has moved as we'll go in later. Additionally, another trade taking place early in the morning during the draft. Marcus Sasser, the Grizzlies pick from the 25th pick, as the Grizzlies picked him, was traded to the Detroit Pistons. So he will be a Piston. Still yet to be determined what is coming back for compensation, whether it's a player, a pick, or a cash consideration. Um, a huge turn of events as the Lakers, Nuggets, and Pacers were involved in a three-team swap on trade. The Lakers moved their 47 pick Mojave King to the Pacers. Actually, it was a four team trade in which the Los Angeles Lakers still get Maxwell Lewis, that was the 40th pick. The Denver Nuggets get Julian Strother, Jalen Pickett, Hunter Tyson, and a 2024 second round pick in the swap. The Indiana Pacers received Mojave King, who was the 42nd overall pick, a 2024 first round pick from Oklahoma City, and from Denver, as well as cash consideration. And the Thunder receive a 2029 first round pick in the switcheroo, as which I didn't know initially. Marcus Lewis now a Los Angeles Laker, as Lewis played forward, 6'6" forward out of Pepperdine. A sophomore decided to put his go into the draft. So I'm gonna have to take a look at Marcus Lewis again. I don't understand it, but I guess it was later in the draft. Some names that are really out there that haven't been seen or heard. I wonder. It starts to make you wonder or give some premise to what is the situation when it comes to these players, especially when you look at it's a huge concentration or a huge is huge when you get down to these, when you look at it and break it down, all the players for the most part are players who were even freshmen or played overseas. Not too many other underclassmen. There was a few, of course, there was a few seniors, sophomores, and juniors, but a large concentration of freshmen. When you look at it, so it will make you think like, well, I guess it doesn't make any sense. Continue on a couple of other picks that was made in after the midnight hour. The Timberwolves received Leonard Miller, the 33 overall pick from the San Antonio Spurs, for a 2026 and a 2028 second round pick, all via Minnesota. Um, the Milwaukee Bucks traded Andre Jackson Jr. Um, traded for Andre Jackson Jr. with the Orlando Magic, um, and receive a 2030 second round pick and cash consideration in that trade. The Celtics traded for Jordan Walsh, who was the 38th overall pick from the Sacramento Kings, and they yet to be determined what that compensation was for them. The Hawks get Mohamed Gawai from the Celtics in the air trade, in late night trade, the number 39 pick from the Celtics. And then, of course, we already know the um, the Boston, what was turned out to be in those picks that were conveyed for Chris Porzingis, as Marcus Sasser, the 25th pick that they got from the Grizzlies, the Grizzlies, was converted into Marcus Sasser, who is now traded to Detroit, and Julian Phillips was the 35th pick that the Wizards received as they converted to Julian Phillips. So a lot going on last night, a lot of moving going on, and we're not over. It's not done in any way, form, or fashion, due to the fact that there's more to be covered as we get ready to go into the off season, more to speak, in which free agency is going to be coming into effect. But before getting into that a little more, finish out the rounds, as of course, um, there was an additional. 28 players selected last night. As you know, there's only 2 rounds in the NBA in which it puts all teams, but there were teams that were not able to draft. Of course, being the biggest ones being the Chicago Bulls and I think the New York Knicks, as they had infractions why they weren't able to draft. Additionally, the Pelicans, 76ers, Rockets, Jazz, Raptors, Heat, and Golden State Warriors were void a second-round pick. But of course, at the top of the draft in the second round, Detroit Pistons select James Nagy from center from Barcelona of Nigerian descent. 6'11", 220, 26 pound. Indiana Pacers take Jalen Pickett, as stated, he was traded to Denver, the guard out of Penn State. San Antonio Spurs took Leonard Miller, forward from G League Ignite. Of course, he was traded later to the Minnesota Timberwolves. At number 34, Charlotte Hornets selected Kobe Jones, forward from Xavier. 35, the Boston Celtics selected Julian Phillips, forward from Tennessee, of course, traded later on in the night to the Chicago Bulls. At number 6, Orlando Magic selected Andre Jackson, forward from Connecticut, later traded to Milwaukee. Interesting move. At number 37, the Oklahoma City Thunder selected Hunter Tyson, forward out of Clemson. Later, he was traded to the Denver Nuggets. Sacramento Kings selected Jordan Walsh, forward out of Arkansas, running mate with a player that was earlier selected, but he was to be traded later on in the night to the Boston Celtics. Charlotte Hornets selected Muhammad Guy with the 39th pick for him out of Washington. Later for him to be center out of Washington. Later for him to be selected and traded to the Atlanta Hawks. At the 40th spot, the Denver Nuggets selected Maxwell Lewis, forward out of Pepperdine, just to be traded to the Lakers later on in the night. And then after that, for a second, they started. The picks started to stay homegrown. Number four, the 41st pick, Charlotte Hornets, Mari Beller, guard out of UCLA. Washington Wizards selected Tristan Vucevic, a center out of Serbia, another Serbian in the league. We'll see if he's anything like his fellow countrymen in Chris Apis. I mean, not Chris Apis, in Nikola Jokic. At the 43rd spot, the Portland Trailblazers selected Rand Rupert, guard forward out from New Zealand. Played last year with the New Zealand Breakers in the NBL. Uh, at the 44th spot, the San Antonio Spurs select CD Sissoko, forward out of another forward player from the G League Ignite team. Mr. Grizzlies run back and select select Gregory Jackson II out of South Carolina. 46th pick, Atlanta Hawks select Seth Lundy, guard out of Penn State. As we know, the Los Angeles Lakers selected Mojave King later in the round from the G League Ignite, just to trade him to the Indiana Pacers just to trade him to the Indiana, be a part of the 14 trade, trading him to the Indiana Pacers. The Los Angeles Clippers, with the 48 slot pick, select Jordan Miller, guard from Miami. 49 slot, Cleveland Cavaliers select Imani Bates, Eastern Michigan guard. Oklahoma City, with the 50th spot, select Keontae Johnson, guard forward from Kansas State. Brooklyn, with their third selection in the draft, selected Jalen Williams, forward over out of Kansas. Phoenix Suns select Tamani Kamara, forward out of Dayton. Timberwolves running back with Jalen Clark, guard out of UCLA. That's 3 players selected in the 2 rounds from UCLA. Sacramento Kings select Jalen Lawson, forward out of Furman. Indiana Pacers, with the 55th pick, select Isaiah Wan, guard from Miami, which wasn't a bad pickup. That is a hellacious drop, as Isaiah Wan was considered one of the finalists for a couple of most valuable player awards in the college community. and they Pacers get him at the 55th spot in the 2023 draft, so that may be a gem. We remains to be seen. With the last three spots, of course, the Memphis Grizzlies select Tariq Bibervarik forward out of Turkey. 57 spot, Washington Wizards get Trace Jackson Davis, forward center from Indiana, who, in case they traded to the Golden State Warriors. And last but not least, with the last pick of the 2023 draft, the Milwaukee Bucks select Chris Livingston, forward from Kentucky. So a lot of, like I said, movement going on, players being selected, move. Now, of course, that starts to change to who's going to be the on the move when it comes to free agency. Already, the expectancy is to probably take a look and see, as Chicago Bulls have stated, their vice president of operations has stated that they don't expect their guard that they selected 2 years ago in brought in free agency, Lonzo Ball, to be playing next year either. They expect him to be out the whole year, which would put him at 2 years removed since he last graced the basketball court after leaving midway through the 2021 season. Um, so Lonzo Ball is expected to be out another year. Basically, putting it in perspective, the free agents, a total of 200 free agents revved up and ready to go. Um, as we start to get ready to get into it, where these players are going to be up and ready to move on from their organization, their teams. Although all of them probably will not, I doubt any all 200 would be moved or will be in a different place, a new place, different place. But definitely players on the move, um, off of every team. Key ones to take a look at, of course, will the Los Angeles Lakers be able to bring back Austin Reeves? It has been talks, of course, that says that there's going to be some teams out there who will be able to poach him from the Lakers due to the fact that the Lakers may not be able to offer him too much money. Um, for the most part, already one moved from the list, as Gary Trent was on the player option, has opted back in to play for the Toronto Raptors, as so he would play one more year um, for the Toronto Raptors before hitting free agency next year, unless he ends up getting an extension this year. So Gary Trent opts in um, to stay in Toronto. I think was it 14 million. I think. Let me see. 18 million, 18 and a half million. So Gary Trent opts in 18 and a half million to play one more year in Toronto, running it back. So he would not hit free agency um, till next year. Next year, he is, unless it's extended, Gary Trent will become a free agent next, unrestricted free agent next year, free to go where he wants, where feels he's needed. With this year, as we know, Bruce Brown opting out of his contract. Still, a couple of other players have till the 28th, some 28th, some 29th of June to basically go ahead and option out of their contracts, um, declaring themselves as unrestricted free agents in this upcoming free agency season. Of course, players like James Harden, um, and it's instinct just to see where they're at. Some of these players are lucky enough to where if they opt out, regardless of what team they opt out in, they're probably going to be able to run it back and do something to get themselves in position, regardless of what money is or isn't available. I very surely doubt that players like Harden um, will be sitting on the outside looking in for that amount of time. Lakers picking up two more players in the draft. Um, the expectancy. I don't know what the potential expectancy would be of that for them going forth. Of course, they're on. They have 7 players that's currently on their roster, so it remains to be seen uh, how that's going to go. Oh, how there? Hey there, guy. What's going on there, man?
What up, Frat? What up? What up? What up? What up? WGO, WGO. What's good? What's good? How y'all doing, man? How's everybody doing on this Friday, day
It's a
after
Friday.
the NBA draft? Major moves in the NBA. I'm sure you've already spoke on it a
Talked
few
about it.
times.
Yes.
Yeah.
What
Very
was
interesting.
guaranteed? What? How? What was the temperature last night in
Oh man, San Antonio was off the chain, man. These cats, man. The young man's jersey sold out
It's already on
within.
sale?
It was sold out, sold
Sold
out,
out.
sold
Oh
out.
my.
Not on sale, sold out. Soon as it was announced, people's at all the sporting um establishments buying this young man's jersey. Everywhere, everywhere. Jersey gone. It is gone. They've already made him the next Tim Duncan slash David Robinson protege.
And which is interesting because that is true. And when you look at it, Tim Duncan, uh, David Robinson, now Victor Wembanyama, all number 1 overall picks, all have been champions.
NBA champions.
All have been champions. So interesting. But again, you got to take into consideration that was at a different time in Pop's career, and
Facts.
yeah. So and I'm saying
Different
the Pop,
eras. Different
yeah,
eras.
different eras. Yeah. So
Yes.
Popovich, everyone keeps on saying that they believe he's going to be great with Popovich, but
It
is
definitely
that
has the
the case?
potential to be. Yeah, it has the potential to be if Pop still has something in the tank. So, do let me ask you this:
Yes.
as you age,
Hmm.
and as I just heard Stephen A. say on his show First Take, as you age, we know Father Time. We know Father Time is undefeated.
Hmm.
Can't beat Father Time. Can't beat him. You can try all
Can't
you
be.
want to. You can try your best. Father Time is gonna win out in the long run, and that's in all aspects. I don't care what it is. Father Time is undefeated. But my question to you, Trey, does that statement? We know that statement applies to being an athlete.
Hmm.
Does that statement apply to being a
Coaching.
coach?
I think it clearly and concisely does because I think what happens is you
Now,
have
before
players.
hold that thought. Before you say that, think about
Okay.
all the old football coaches, the Nick Pertinos, the
Hmm.
the all the old coaches that you know took their time or won championships later in their in their elderly years. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Elderly years. Now, like, don't get me wrong. I understand. As an older coach, you find yourself getting stuck in your ways, as we used
Correct.
to get stuck in your ways, and
Yes.
you don't want
Yes.
you
You
ain't
don't
big
want
for
to.
change.
You don't want to shift with the times.
Yeah, but go ahead and say what you gonna say.
And so that's exactly what I was about to say. True enough, like you get to the point to where um, you have to be able to move and shake with the time certain times. Like I sit up and of course being an older gentleman now, and I look at it, like sometimes at work when I be coming up with with certain things to make a better product or just to be different, I tend to bring in what we have, what we utilize now, which is a lot of digital and moving forth. And some people are very against that. They're stuck in their ways of being doing
Facts.
things without such. So same thing with some coaches, especially when you was a successful coach, you tend to gravitate towards what has worked for you being successful.
Mm-hmm.
Like you say, Nick Pitino's, I'm very sure Greg Popovich. And
Popovich.
so
Yeah.
it works. And but saying, but also what is has to be, and I would go, I'd be foolish not to say that. Additionally, it also depends on the
The Nick
personnel.
Sabans. The Nick Sabans who's
Yeah,
been
these
around.
people, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, but it depends on the personnel. And so the personnel makes a
Okay.
difference. In some
Okay.
cases, the players gravitate towards those coaches and those names because they are who they are. It's like, I want to go play for the best. I would like to play for Greg Popovich. But
Mm-hmm.
is based off of, as we heard, you heard yesterday, Brandon Miller said his GOAT is Paul George. So Brandon Miller, the number 2 overall selected player, selected by none other than Michael Jordan, stated that his GOAT is Paul George because that's who he saw play. That's who he gravitated to. So
You
when
know what?
you take a
I can't fault him for that because he hasn't seen it. He missed some errors. He's a young man.
yeah,
He's young. He's missed some
but
errors. I get it.
so
Okay.
but then I was thinking that initially as well, brother. I was thinking that
Mm-hmm.
as well, and
Mm-hmm.
then I thought to myself, Paul George has been playing with LeBron James and Steph Curry in the same
Facts.
league. So you've seen these same people, but yet well, that's what he
This is who
said.
you pick.
Paul
Yeah, you're right.
George, is your
Wow.
king.
This.
So so, but you know what? To each his own. To each his
Oh my
own.
God.
But
Yeah,
with Paul George,
that's.
and he said it, Paul
Mm,
George is his GOAT. Paul George is his GOAT. So when you look
mm.
at that, players look at that and sometimes gravitate. So if Paul George is his GOAT, then I could assure you that Greg Popovich is not on his radar as a great coach. He might
Nah, can't
want
be.
Jason Kidd.
Can't be.
So yeah. So with that being said, it just makes a difference. It really becomes who you look at and what you seen as. For us, we've seen Popovich, saying coach. We've seen him
Mm-hmm.
take San Antonio to multiple championships.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, we can put for the most part in the sense hold on to that potentially going to be re-erected by resurrected, of course, by Greg Popovich at the San Antonio Spurs because we've seen Popovich do it before. But in all
Fact.
actuality, it may not be. It may be too far gone for Greg Popovich to sit up and be able to connect with those players that he's going to have on his roster and be able to enact that greatness in which he had just a
Can
couple decade ago.
can Greg Popovich, can Big Pop pull off an Oklahoma Sooner softball season
No,
and have a
hell
three-peat?
no.
Can he three-peat? Can he three-peat? Can he take 3 different eras with 3 different big men and possibly do the inevitable and have another championship being brought to San Antonio area? Is it possible?
So I say no, really, and I
Okay.
could be biased, but you're saying because I don't know, we might find both ourselves in black and white, chilling like
Facts.
like
Straight.
saying, let's go
Let's keep
Spurs.
it 100. Yeah, let's go Spurs. Go. Keep it
Let's go
100.
Spurs. Yeah, because that's all we got at that point.
Right.
So saying, you
Right.
never know. Saying or
Yeah.
saying they might be gracious enough to allow first formation to grace them and talk to them, engage
Hey.
them. It's like so.
Yeah.
Saying I would be silly to talk about Lakers. I might have, but I might have to wear a Laker jersey underneath. You know what I'm saying? Just,
A t-shirt underneath.
t-shirt or
Yeah.
something underneath.
Yeah.
It's like why? It's like I see black and white. What's that hint of yellow? Like
Yeah. What's that purple you got under there? That ain't no purple. Is no more near our colors. Why you got that purple in there?
It's like you come in. It's like
Yeah.
I'm getting wanded. It's like, sir, can you step over
See,
to
I
the
can
side?
get away with it with the Nets colors. I can get away with the Nets
Yeah,
colors.
like you can, but it's
I
like
can
what's
get
that
away
over
with the
there?
Nets.
I
Yeah.
gotta come in. It's like you don't even wear do rags. Like why do you have a purple? It's like it's the best. It's all I have. But, so you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, but it goes to be said like you know what I'm saying. People tend to gravitate what's in the area, and I want to say no, but I don't know. Like I don't
And my
know if
thing
Pop
is,
has that in him. Like you said,
that's my thing. I
in the
don't know
tape,
how
in
much
the
love.
tape. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
How
know.
does he? Yeah. How does that resonate with his new? How does it resonate now?
Yeah. I don't know how much Pop has left in the tank to be able to withstand because I just don't see this young man, despite all of this man's talent. I don't see him being able to come in and make the Spurs a playoff contender out the gate. I think it takes time. I think, don't get me wrong, the Spurs have some talent, young talent, but I think it's fine. In today's basketball, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, Fred, correct me if I'm wrong, but in today's basketball, if you're not teamed up as a big three or at least a big two,
Mhm.
you're not contenders. You're not contenders.
So looking at it, you're pretty right. And
Just think
what
about the last
first thing that
five.
comes to my mind
Yeah,
is the
last
Spurs.
yeah, the last five championships. There's been either a big three or a big two that's got them made them be NBA champions. Let's just
Definitely,
last five.
definitely, what has been the case is because, like I said, one of the first things that come to mind is the Spurs. They were
Mm-hmm.
a team without a true star. You know,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying a bunch of I ain't gonna
Young
say
cats.
mediocre players, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but a
young
bunch of young
cats,
cats. Yeah,
young cats. So we see
young
what
guns
happened
trying
to
to
them.
figure out.
We
Yeah.
we see what happened to Brooklyn once they
Mm-hmm.
got rid of Harden, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant, and brought in some I ain't gonna say cast off because Malik Bridges is pretty good. And
Mm-hmm.
Cam Johnson is pretty good. So, but once they got certain players, then they was reduced completely. Although they held the fort down for a while, but when it came down to the nitty gritty, they couldn't hold. They wasn't available to play any further. When you look at teams, what happened when Zion Williamson was removed from New Orleans? The New Orleans Pelicans went from being a top tier, top four team in the West to plummeting to the bottom of the West. Um, so
So my
it's
question for you, Trey, is because of the draft, because of Victor Wim, does does it does this is San Antonio Spurs a better market now for players like Chris Middleton, who's a free agent?
mm,
We already know what happened with Chris Paul, but Chris Middleton, who's a free agent, say for instance, Damian Lillard. Like, is this now because they got this young so-called protege of Tim Duncan and David Robinson, the next they so-called LeBron James? Is it a market now in San Antonio to try and get out here to be with this young phenom for these superstar free agents? Like I said, the Damian Lillards, the Chris Middletons. You know what I'm saying?
so
Is it this place that they may possibly want to go now?
uh, I wouldn't say that necessary. Oh, Cornelius, what's going on, CC? So to answer your question, brother,
CC, what's up, bro?
I guess you could say who was their big two was Lowry
It was
and Kawhi.
Kawhi, yeah.
Yeah, Lowry and Kawhi was
Lowry and Kawhi. Now,
was their
some big twos and big threes aren't as big as others.
biggest.
Yeah, they not
Yeah, because
they
that
not
was
on the
yeah.
pedestal
I
as a,
wouldn't even
yeah,
thought about that had you not even asked that question. But
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it
That is
would
a
be
good question.
Kawhi if to put it. It would be Kawhi and Lowry
Wow,
was
yeah.
the injury that went
If you're a
for the most
household
part.
name, if you're a household name, I feel like you could be considered a big three or big two. If you're a household name, if people know who you are, like say like Kyle Lowry, we know Kyle Lowry isn't up there with a lot of other people, but he is a household name,
But we know who he is. Yeah.
and we do know
So,
who he
but
is.
going
Yeah.
back to what you was asking. So with Victor, I don't think he's going to be the draw. I just think it's going to. So he's not going to be the draw. Now you mentioned Dame Lillard. Dame
Hmm.
Lillard, the Portland Trailblazers cut off all conversations and talks in reference to moving Dame Lillard, and of course they have gone and they have put they've already started putting they drafted
Scoop.
Scoot Henderson. So you know, what I'm saying although he's another guard, but they drafted
But do
Scoot
you do
Henderson.
the? But you did hear? Please keep that thought, please. You did hear that if a lot of the analysts, like 90% of the analysts, said if they drafted Scoop, 9 times out of 10, Damon was going to be out of Portland.
So I initially, but I think Dame is staying in Portland. I think they're going to use that and they're going to build around Dame. I think Dame wants to stay in Portland, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
he's asking. But of course, as we know, we see what happens, and
Mm-hmm.
business is business. And when business is booming, anyone can get it. So, but Dame it's been said that Dame expects to stay in Portland and he's going to and the expectancy of course then is going to be they're going to build around him. Of course, now as we start to shift a week from now, we'll see free agency. We're gonna see all the money being thrown around. We'll see
Mhm.
who's going where and who's going to be tested. What teams are going to be tested to see for their restricted free agents and who's going after all this. So it's gonna go. It's gonna go down. But right now, I think Dame, he's the draw right now
Mhm.
in Portland. Victor, I don't think Victor has that ability yet. Although someone might see it as okay, this is potentially because we don't know what we're getting in Victor. Honestly,
We
we
don't. We
don't.
only know. We
Yeah,
only know
because
what his talents were, where he played overseas.
where he played and what we seen that you don't know what you're gonna get in Victor. So then you go Socon and Keldon Williams, Johnson that are there. We see what they had. So they might have some promise. And now you put them with a young Victor Wembanyama, and then of course you see who San Antonio is going to bring in. But it's a small money market, and I mean you've been there for a couple of years. The biggest outside of Victor, the biggest person y'all saw come there was who? DeMar DeRozan, and he was there only a couple
Kawhi.
of years. Oh well, Kawhi started there, but and then Kawhi left. DeMar
Mm-hmm.
came, and then it's
Mm-hmm.
like what happened?
Mm-hmm.
So and then DeMar left the 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's a small money market, and the now is a situation to where it's just starting to change. The direction is starting to change, and it's with that and the drafting of Victor Wembanyama. But who else could they bring in potentially to make the team better as well as be a draw for um, for their
See, but
organization?
so this is my thing, right? And this is why I asked the question.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this is a huge part on the success of the San Antonio Spurs with Victor Wim. My thing is this: Pop can mentor him as a coach, father figure, all of that. Away from his family, he's here in the States now. He's away from his family. He could be that father figure for him here as his head coach. But Victor needs a role model and a mentor on the court.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no one in the league or in his team's locker room who could be that because they're all young.
Veteran, yeah.
There's no veterans. So, with that being said, it would take a veteran to come there. In my opinion, this is just me. This is just me speaking. The GOAT, Bishop, Zalos, Quad. It's just me saying that they possibly could use someone of a stature of Damon Lillard, of a Chris Middleton, someone who has some experience under their belt and can come in and mentor them on the court. Because don't get me wrong, your coach talks to you and gives you all the advice and feedback and information which you need, but there's those players that's on the court with you that gives you little gems while you in the game. During a foul, they come to huddle up and they come to him and say, hey, look, man, this you can't do that. Hey, do this. Hey, watch him when he does this. This means this. Watch him when he does that. That means that. A lot of things come from the players and not from the coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's what he's going to need, being that he's coming from a foreign country, coming from overseas, playing in a whole new pool of talent,
So
where
with that,
everybody's a threat compared to being over
so
there a little different.
I think also, but because the ideal would be to have that type of player or those type of players in the fold on the court with him. But what we have to take in consideration is I'm very sure it was a culture that was built there many years ago, where that culture still probably has some correlations to where one um, David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and even Victor's own countrymen in Tim in Parker um, are still connected to the organization, to where they might be the ones to basically give um, some um, some credence to helping to mold him and make him into a better player and see some things differently. Because now, would you say as being the most sought after prospect since LeBron James, Zion Williamson, that comes with something. So, is it safe to say that Victor is going to potentially be expected to be that team's leader, or is it too early to say that
It's
because
too early.
he's young?
Too early to
You
say
know
that.
what I'm saying?
It's too
Uh,
early. In my opinion, it's too early to say that. CC, the question is, are they going to spend the money on these guys? Middleton left 40 million on the table, and that says a lot. CC,
he
to
left
leave
40
40,
million, but
to
he's not.
leave to leave 40 million though, Trey. That's a
So,
lot of
so,
money to leave on the
so
table. Especially,
that's
it's something behind that. It's something behind that.
don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe trick. So this is what we got to take. This is what we have to take into consideration.
He taking it back. He taking it back to 48 hours days. You know what?
so
Not 48 hours.
so trade place, not trade places,
Beverly Hills Cop.
Casa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Cop.
So what we have to take in consideration is yes, he left 40 million on the table, but
Mm-hmm.
that was 1 year, 40 million. Uh, let me know. Tell me this:
Mm-hmm.
would you or would you not trade 1 year, 40 million for 4 years, 26 million? With the most likely it's going to not just be 26 million that you're going to continue to increase to where you might get back to where you in your last year might be 1 year 47 million at the end of it. So that right now Chris Middleton he left 40 million on the table. James
For
Harden
4 years.
left 36 million on the table. Draymond Green left 27 million on the table. Kyle Kuzma left 13 million on the table. So yes, they've left this on the table, but it's a trade-off to get uh, another payday, extended payday on the back end. So no, they're not going. So in the case since we're talking about San Antonio, if San Antonio doesn't have to hit the 40 million mark, it would be grand. It would be saying great, but all they have to do is come somewhere in or around the ballpark for that, and then look at it increasing in state to where the overall projection is what they're going to look at because they're going to divvy it up. They're going to tell him, "Hey, we want you for uh for 4 years, 130 million," and then of course is going to be in state is once you sign a contract for 130 million, you're going to get 130 million in NBA basketball. So you're going to get that money. Now it depends on how they give you that money up to make it fit. All they got to do is, for the most part, play it to where year by year they need to make that figure fit. So
So
he
my
might
thing
get.
is, again, I feel like Trey, in my opinion,
Uh huh.
I feel like that's definitely there's something behind that because why would you offer him only a year at 40 million?
Well, that's what he signed. That's so he because he had signed. I can't remember what his contract was, but that's basically what was left on his contract. But he had the player option in his contract as well, so that way he has an option to decline. Because just like everyone else, remember LeBron James, he's basically owed 50 million for 2 years over the next
Mm-hmm.
average of 50 million over the next 2 years. That kicks in this year, and then he's going to have it again next year to play with LA. That was his ascension. So he opted out, in which that's why we continue to hear like LeBron James opts out. He has a player option. He signed the extension with the player option for 2 years to where he can opt out. He has a player option on the back end of the year where he's
Mm-hmm.
going to, I think, going to be owed $55 million next year in what would be his final year. He can opt out of that contract, leave the 55 million on the table, and go somewhere else. But of course, we know he's not going to probably make 50 million or plus wherever else he goes. But he has the option to leave. So same thing with Chris Middleton, James Harden, all them players. They all have player options to where they're opting out with the option to potentially make more on the back end because now, yes, Chris Middleton is leaving Milwaukee, but at the same time, Milwaukee has just added $40 million to their salary cap, especially looking at, okay, now Chris Middleton is leaving. If we want to bring him back, then we need to take that into consideration when we're building out the team to look at who we're offering, what type of money to, what's going on. So that makes a difference. So yes, he opts out, but that doesn't mean he won't go back. For all we know, he opted
Mm-hmm.
out just to get an extended payday, and he's going right back to Milwaukee. but you know what I'm saying. But unless there's a guaranteed in there, 40 million is a lot to leave on the table if you're not going to get that. If you're not going to make that type of money.
Hold on. It is. It is. What
What's
up? What
good,
up,
man?
listener? What up,
What's
Frank?
going, man? So yeah, that's all. Yeah, true enough. That is a lot of money to leave on the table. If it's not, are you leaving 40 million on the table? Uh, if 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 you have the opportunity to potentially make more, are you comfortable with leaving 40 million on the table, especially when you're coming off your second knee surgery in 2 years? You're 32 years old. Um, would you leave 40 million on the table? Would you play it out and run it back after you're a free agent, overall unrestricted
That's
free
a
agent?
hard question, bro. That's hard because you know what I say. It's when it comes to us, we 40 million is a
It's a
whole
different
lot of
40
damn
million.
money to me. A
A
whole lot of
million,
damn
like
money.
it's like when you
Yeah,
say,
that's
okay,
yeah. We
I'm not.
we are
I'm not
rich
leaving.
with everything. Yeah,
I'm not leaving 6.8 on the table like
that
Brown
part.
did.
I'm not
I'm
leaving
saying,
1 million. I'm not leaving 1 million. Let alone 40. So yeah, for us it's hard to say because yeah, we they
the
that
mindset is
small
different.
change,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that small change to them compared to us. So that's hard to say, but I get it. I mean, I get it. I see what I mean, understand what CC saying too when he said, he left 40 million. So the question his initial question was, is San
Are
Antonio
they gonna
willing
pay
to
that?
spend? Yeah, are they
Probably
willing to
not.
spend that
And to
money
be honest, Chris Middleton isn't that John Blaze to me. Like, I mean, that is like Chris Middleton. I don't see Chris Middleton as one of those players that everyone's going to be sought after. He's just
right?
not one of those players, in my opinion. He's going to be a piece that could add to, I'm sure, but I wouldn't see him as a person that people want to be beating down the doors to get to in
I
states.
feel like Chris
So
Middleton, to be honest, in my personal opinion, in my personal opinion, if I had to choose between these two individuals, and they're both free agents, between Chris Middleton and Draymond Green, I'm picking Chris Middleton.
well, yeah, because Chris Mills is a better scorer. I don't know if I
I'm
know
picking
he's
Chris
a better
Middleton
scorer, but
because
I don't know if that's what
he
I'm
is a
going
better
with.
scorer. He is a better scorer. However, Draymond is a better defender.
Hmm.
But I know with Chris Middleton, I have no type of drama compared to Draymond. I have no drama.
I think it definitely depends on what you're looking for in the players or what case like that.
Right.
So
And don't get me wrong,
yeah,
some
I could get
coaches
that.
want
Yeah,
that. Some
yeah.
coaches want
Some
that
people
drama.
want
Some
that
coaches
antagonizer. They want that like
yes. Some coaches live for that. They want that in their organization. They want that one standout, what I'm saying, black sheep. They want that one within the locker room to keep everybody else, because you can't have a whole bunch of non-black sheeps in there. You got to have one to stir the pot. At least one to stir the pot. Need one to stir the pot.
so I can get that in the case, but yeah, I just don't think that Chris Middleton is going to be that person that everyone. He's going to be one of those players. He's definitely a player that he can add to your team, but I don't know
Absolutely.
if you put Chris Middleton on another team and they're going to consider him a addition to a big two or a big three. That's why I don't
Mm.
see. But if you add him to the team, he's definitely going to be seen as a player that makes that team better. But I don't think he's. I think he fell into and developed into what is quote unquote a big three in Milwaukee, but again a small money market, and that was and then he played into that contract. He was one of two original players left from when he was drafted. It was just him and Giannis. Now he's basically left the organization, quote unquote, or basically hanging at the door, chilling, like
Mhm.
he's talking to you, like he's about to leave. And then there's going to just be Giannis left from that roster. So, but I mean, he'll go somewhere like if he was in quote unquote Portland, if he went to Portland with Dame Lillard and now Scoot Henderson,
Mhm.
uh, that might make Portland better. I would say a couple others, but I think they're free agents too, like Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant. I think they're free agents as well, unrestricted and restricted free agent. So
Mhm.
that makes a difference. So that type of stuff makes a difference. Let me see. Portland. Who is Portland's free agents? Portland's free agents is Jeremy Grant, is a free agent. So yeah, just Jeremy Grant. He's only one of those. Cam Reddish is a free agent. Uh, yeah. So restricted. They have a couple of unrestricted free agents, but Jeremy Grant, who came last year, is a unrestricted free agent. So he can leave. He hasn't worried about everyone else. Justin Winslow, unrestricted free agent. Kevin Knox, unrestricted free agent. Cam Reddish is a restricted free agent. Matisse Thybulle is a restricted free agent. Um, so they have a couple of people that's there, that is going to probably be leaving. Of course, there's going to be allowed to leave, and then some they're going to possibly bring back or look and depend upon the market. Honestly, I honestly believe it's going to depend upon the market. Like we see Kyrie Irving. Ain't no
Mhm.
one ain't no one beating down the door to get Kyrie. But that don't mean that Kyrie ain't gonna be as sought after.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Kyrie's leaving Dallas.
Really? You think
I
he's
don't think.
staying?
Remember I said that yesterday or day
Yeah,
before,
yeah,
whatever
yeah.
day.
The other day,
I
yeah.
said it's too early. I don't feel like they got enough full opportunity to see what Kyrie can bring to that org with just him and Luka. They need a defensive presence, and I feel like, and I didn't even see who did the Mavs pick up yesterday? Did they pick up a defensive presence in the draft?
They picked up a bunch of post players.
Let me
I
see.
mean, they picked up Lively, who was
They picked up Kason Wallace.
they traded him in the
Oh,
for
they did?
yeah, he got traded to he was the 10th pick. They traded
Right.
him for the 12th pick. So they got center Lively, who
Derek
was
Lively?
yeah, he was the number one player last year in the
Derek
college.
Lively the second.
He was the number one prospect last year. So
So
he
Kason
went
went to OKC,
uh-huh.
and then
Yes.
Derek Lively went to Oklahoma. I mean, went to Dallas.
Correct. Go to Dallas,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. For those that didn't see, let me show y'all real quick. For those that didn't see, this is the first 30 picks in the draft.
First 30.
So you said Kason went to Oklahoma and Derek went to Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What other big
So
trade? Was there any other trades?
there wasn't no huge trades. Like it was a
Okay.
14 trade that was shipped between the Lakers, Grizzlies, Pacers, and somebody else that sent some of the prospects. I think the biggest trade happened earlier in the day when Chris Paul got traded to the Golden State
To
Warriors.
the Warriors for Poole.
For a Poole, yeah, Poole
Poole
and
and some picks.
and
Poole and some picks.
Poole picks, and it was one other player that got traded as well. So.
Yeah. And then wasn't history made last night by the Thompson twins?
By the Thompson twins, yes. Drafted two brothers drafted in the top 5.
Yep, 4th and 5th. One went to Houston, the other one went to Detroit. Who you think got the better team out of the twins?
So they're both young, but I think I have more of a bias towards the Houston squad, being that with them having
got some young guns over there, boy.
yeah,
Houston got some young guns.
They got some young Green and Porter.
Yeah.
He said Detroit. What's good, Jay?
What's good, Rod? What up, Jay?
So he said Detroit, but Houston got some. They got some young guns in Porter and Green and Seguin and Smith, and now they've just added
another young gun.
yeah, Thompson as well as Whitmore. I think they might have the edge, although it's not bad. I think in state, I think both of them are probably going to be up and coming. They added coaches, of course. Now, Coach Williams is in Detroit. Coach Udoka is in Houston. So I foresee both of them making some moves, potentially maybe playoff contenders this year.
In Indiana, excuse me, Indiana had 3 picks in the first round. What?
I think they had more than that, but yeah, they did. They wheeled and dealed.
3 picks in the first round. Good Lord. That's major. I ain't mad at that one.
I was a little upset that the Lakers let Jaime Jaquez pass him by and selected the Fino. But I mean, it might not be a big. I was just more.
I don't even see him. I don't see him.
he got selected by Miami right after they picked. So they selected Jalen
Oh,
Hood
gotcha.
Schifino. They selected Jalen Hood Schifino, and then Miami Heat selected Jaime Jaquez right after that.
Mm,
So that's more of a personal thing. I think Jaime Jaquez is a quote unquote a dog. He's a grind. He's a hard nosed player. He's a hustle type player. So I was looking at like I think that's what we needed, more of a wing. But they selected guard Jalen Hood Schifino out of Indiana.
and Cam Whitmore went to Houston along with one of the Thompson
Yes,
twins.
Cam Whitmore fell
Ooh,
out the top.
yeah, it felt like he was
So
supposed
that's
to
a
be in the top 10. Yeah, he
yeah,
fell
he
to
fell
20.
out.
Yeah,
So that's saying that's another thing where you look at that. So that's probably a gem. So he's
yeah.
asked to Houston. So that's another reason why I say Houston is probably going to be that new Orlando, Houston, and Detroit. I'm peeping. I'm not too. And then again, like I said, free agency still is up and coming. I
Still,
say
yeah.
that we don't know what's going to happen with Charlotte if they're going to bring in some heavy hitters to go along with Miller and Melo and company. Additionally, we don't know what's going to happen in Portland if they got some stuff planned as we continue to sit and look. What we do know is any other players that was drafted, they yesterday they're not able to be traded till a month or so from now. So
Mm,
that would a month from the beginning of the season. So that's another thing. So we don't have to worry about that. So we don't know what now is going to happen as we don't know who's been talking, who's looking at like, yeah, I'm trying to go here, I want to go there, I want to play here. This is what I'm doing. So it remains to be seen of what's going to happen when the chips are down, and now we in
mm,
the free agency.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Time will tell, man. Yeah,
so Chris, yeah. So it was although it was surprising, I just knew Chris Paul was going to be a Laker, but he's a Warrior now.
yeah. We talked about it just the other day, and I didn't see
Just
that.
knew he was going to be a Laker.
I didn't see that. I did not see him going to the lake.
But
I
they
mean,
stated they
to the
stated
Warriors.
that they stated that Washington stated that they wasn't trying to let go of him yet, and they wanted to see what they can get for him. I
Who
don't
you mean,
think
Phoenix?
yeah, no. So when they Phoenix traded him, they had to trade him. But Washington, because the idea was that Washington, well, for one, Phoenix was going to release him. Phoenix
Right.
didn't release him. They kept him until they got him into a position to where they could trade him, and then they traded him to Washington. And Washington, as opposed to just doing a buyout to get him off the contract and get him off the books, they elected to trade him, find a way to trade him as well, and they parlayed that trade into Jordan Poole, which I was talking about. Do you think this is a move to try to keep Draymond in house and just move on from the
You
situation?
know what? Everybody. So I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because everybody's speculation is the reason why Jordan Poole is out of Golden State is because the confrontation between him and Draymond, and then of course Draymond. They're trying to keep Draymond, so therefore that's why they got rid of Jordan Poole. My thing is this. And it could be a ploy to keep Draymond. Got you, because we all heard that the front office basically all said they want to keep Draymond. They want Draymond to stay Golden State Warrior. My thing is this: does bringing in CP3 really help you keep Draymond? Because in my opinion, what is CP3? Excuse me. What is CP3 actually bringing to the table of the Golden State Warriors? Honestly, what is he truly bringing to that organization at the position in which he plays? What is he bringing?
So that's a good question, a tremendously good question. Uh, not Draymond. See, Chris Paul. Now, I honestly his
38 years old,
opportunity.
36 years old, I think 36, 37, somewhere around there.
36. He's going to enter his 19th season in the
Right.
NBA. So for me, looking at it, honestly, I think for in-state, I don't think that he's going to be a starter. Although he's going to probably become the starter by the end of the year. But can you imagine Steph Curry's off the ball now? Can you imagine Steph Curry off the ball?
Okay, I got that. But then now what do you do with Clay?
Clay's off the ball too. They
Yeah,
both want to run.
I got you,
Clay is
but
a
you can't.
shooting guard, small forward.
I got you. this is my thing though. Again, when you bring in someone like CP3, I feel like there's not enough balls to share. If you putting Steph at this off the ball, you putting Steph off the ball. Clay was already off the ball, which made it good. You now you putting Steph and Clay off the ball like that.
But I guess it's
too
one of
much.
the things. There's problems that you want to have, and I think this is a problem you want to have. Now you have a guard that can orchestrate and get people in places. So now you have now you have an option of Steph off the ball. You have the Steph option of Clay off the ball, and someone to bring up the ball, be efficient. And you know what I'm saying, and you got to continue to think like if you're not paying attention, and Chris Paul gets to the elbow, that's his spot. That's his sweet spot. Like, okay,
Right.
you got them locked down. Let me get these 2 points, and then they still have, of course, Andrew Wiggins, who's going to probably be slashing and coming from the wings, and whomever else. So it might not be, like I said, those are problems in my opinion that you want to have. Going from what just CC said, poor Jordan Poole. Basically, the Warriors said, "Draymond, please stay," and that's what I think is really.
I think that's what you was talking about.
Yeah, I think that's what they're basically saying. Hey, Draymond, we want you here, and which Mike Dunleavy said.
Which we'll get rid of Jordan if you want us to.
That's what Mike Dunleavy basically said. We want to keep Draymond as part of the core. I never heard anything in saying that we want to try to do our best to keep Draymond and Poole around each other because we understand yada yada yada. What he did is so. In-state, do you think Poole is an upgrade, or who do you think is more of an upgrade, Poole or Paul? If you had to choose getting Paul or keeping Poole, what was the decision you would have made? Regardless of all this other stuff, what's the decision you would have made? Kept Poole or pull the trigger on Paul?
Because Poole, remember, Poole, remember I said about 2 years ago when they won the championship, I said Poole was up and coming. And then this year he came out and didn't do diddly squat. And you said that.
Another reason why.
You said
they probably removed.
He's like, you wasn't sold on Poole.
He got knocked out. Like you're saying,
he did. He got his scruples. He got his marble scrambled.
Seemed like that the world seen him get knocked out and folded, and then he had to sit up and play with this man. Like
yeah. He got his eggs scrambled. So I mean that may have played a huge factor in it too. So.
And the fact that y'all made me play with this man even more so. Remember what happened with Detroit? I mean, Chicago when Portis and old dude, he was overseas now. They played together. They moved Portis, and he still played there, but he ended up leaving after Portis broke this man's face. Like you know what I'm saying? They put him on, and it's like, okay, you got to go. They kept both him. They kept Poole and Draymond. And make this man play with him. So I mean,
that's hard. That's hard when you play across from somebody that you know what I'm saying, that you actually got it on a physical altercation with. And that's real hard. In my I don't know. I feel like the potential which we saw from Poole 2 years ago was something that I felt that was going to be up and coming. However, like I said, he did take a serious decline this past season compared to what he was the year before. But again, like you said, it made a lot of things can play a factor in that because of the altercation between him and Draymond. In my personal opinion, though, if I had to choose the two, and again, a lot of it depends on what team I have. Me personally, I guess I'm looking at if I'm looking to win another championship right now, then I probably would go with CP3. However, if I'm looking toward the future, then I would probably go with Jordan Poole, because I know in regards to the Golden State Warriors, that big three can't stay together too much longer. They've had a great run. They're pretty much like the Chicago Bulls. They've done practically almost the same thing, and they have almost mocked the Chicago Bulls. They have the second best record ever, or did they surpass it? No, they had the second best overall winning record. Yeah. They was on pace to beat the Bulls, but they didn't. Correct. So they have the second best. So they basically have. Yep. So they basically mocked the Chicago Bulls' great season. So we all know eventually, like we said, Father Time is undefeated. That team is going to eventually have to break up. That big three is going to have to eventually leave and go their separate ways, whether someone retires, the injuries, whatever. It's going to happen. So, my opinion, I feel like if Poole could possibly get back, what up, Commissioner Myers? If Poole could possibly get back to his original stature, like he was 2 years ago, yeah, then possibly, then I would probably look at keeping Poole. But if I'm trying to win now, and I understand what Golden State is doing, they're trying to make it back to a championship. I know Steve Kerr is trying to just look at it. It's Steve Kerr, one of the guys who's on that championship dynasty of the Chicago Bulls. He's trying to either equal that or surpass that. Do you know where that puts him? Which he's already a Hall of Famer. Without question, he's already a Hall of Famer. But a 2-time Hall of Famer, I don't even know if you can even do that as a coach and as a player. But either way, for him to do that, he will be considered and a player. Who's done that? To be a coach and a player, who's done that? He's on pace to be the greatest to do it in both aspects, on the court as well as on the sideline of the court. So, Poole shock, I feel you. Poole shook. I shook. I get you. And I'm sure Poole was like, "Damn."
I'm glad I'm out of there.
You think he glad?
I think I would be. I'm very sure that was a lot of resiliency. Is
Poole went to the Wizards, right?
Yeah, he's in the Wizards now.
See, I would be different. You know what? If I was Poole, this is just me. If I was Poole,
was probably going to have a starting spot.
Absolutely, absolutely, and but I would have been more acceptable and excited if I'd have went to Phoenix, where he came from, where CP3 came from. Mm-hmm. I would have been more excited about that, in my opinion, because I'd have been like
that, right? Mm-hmm. Say that. Are you saying that you would prefer to be linked up with
another big three?
Yeah, which is almost a guarantee to a championship, or would you rather be? So, would you rather go and ride the bench with a championship calendar? Would you rather ride the bench with a championship contending team, or would you rather go and start
in Washington
to help to build a potential championship team?
So you don't think you don't feel as though he would start out there in Phoenix if he had went there?
No. He would have just been considered a bit
six-man
player. Probably a 6-man. Correct. Probably a 6-man. I don't think he would have got the start. If he would have got with the Phoenix, he wouldn't have got the start. Definitely not. If that was the situation. I think he's going to start in Washington. Mm-hmm. But in Phoenix, he would have been on the bench.
Yeah, then answer that question.
So, which would you rather go ride the bench on a potential? I mean, to come off the bench on a championship caliber or contending team, or to go start and potentially build your own situation?
That's a good question, Mike.
I mean, yes, they haven't been relevant, but that don't mean they can't be.
That's a hard one, Trey. That's a hard one.
And take into consideration, like like we always joke around and talk about it. We always look at it.
We all know the Wizards ain't building nothing.
For us, see, y'all gonna make me a Wizards fan. But for us, we would look at it. For us, say in our time and at this time, if this was the case, yes, we want to go come off the bench because time is dwindling. We talked about it at the top of the hour. Father Time is undefeated, but for Poole, he's only in his 3rd or 4th year in the league. He has time to continue to develop and become, and potentially Washington out the ashes can maybe make something shake. So that's what I think in this case as Poole. I think I'm with the latter. I think I'm going to say, and in-state is, and like let's be real, right? And I talked about this the other day. Just like we sit up and talk about Bruce Brown, in-state is you have a championship, right? besides that, what else is there to go? You got a championship. The only thing left to do is win multiple championships. You got a championship. Jordan Poole has a championship. Now he gets the opportunity to go to another team and create and see what else he can accomplish. And for Bruce Brown won a championship. Let's take into consideration. No one was really checking for Bruce Brown. He got on a team. He won a championship. He decides to go and decline his player option, leaving 6.8 million on the table to go to be hopefully be picked up by another team. Was he probably looking to make 14 million or something like that? So he got a championship. After that, after you win a championship, what do you feel like will galvanize you or push you or to win to keep going after you win a championship?
To win more championships?
Yes, to win more championships. So, but would you rather be connected with a squad that's going to do it, or would you rather go and get it yourself? You already got one.
But we're not guaranteed that Phoenix gonna go and get it though.
True.
That's not. There's no guarantees.
That's true, but they're more likely to get it than Washington is.
Facts. But do
So,
okay.
yeah, so
But do you want to? Okay, so your thing is being that he has one under his belt. You feel like he should. You feel like Jordan Poole has the opportunity to go ahead and go somewhere else and
he
try
has
and
the
be the
opportunity to go
front
and
runner, be
yeah.
the front runner for
He
another
has he has an opportunity now to create his own lane.
legacy.
He was forced into it, you know what I'm saying? But they, you know what I'm saying, they went ahead and pushed him and moved him. Now he has the opportunity to be a starter and a leader on a team um, of um, of a bunch of
Of his own.
yeah,
Yeah,
now
his
you're
own.
saying Danilo Gallinari is going to be on his team. He was in that the Kristaps Porzingis trade. Tyus Jones, they drafted the player out of France last night. Um, so you know what I'm saying. Of course, they still have other players there, Kispert, and some other ones. Kyle Kuzma, even though he opted out, doesn't mean he can't come back. So they, you know what I'm saying. So Washington now, Washington has blew up their squad. Chris
Okay.
Porzingis is gone. Kyle Kuzma, for the most part, is gone. Bradley Beal is gone. Washington has blew up the Rui Hachimura is gone. Washington has blew up their squad, and now they're starting to put it back together. And
So, do you really want to be on a team trade that's starting from scratch?
I've only been in the year for 2 years. Now I get an opportunity to be so look at it this way, right? Perfect example. Perfect example. Look at it this way.
Now, mind you, when the last time this team been relevant, and they have not won
I
a
get it, but
NBA.
PK,
Okay, go ahead. Okay,
listen, watch me work right now. Watch me work.
I'm listening.
So, Sigma Alpha Gamma Military Fraternity Incorporated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got these, you know what I'm saying, all these brothers that's a part of this organization, and you know what I'm saying, that is promising, right? It's one of the, you know what I'm saying, a premier group at one point that you should hear a lot, and then out of the depths comes a couple of organizations. One particular Psi Rho Phi Military Fraternity Incorporated, right? That becomes out of that. So, option, I take myself in consideration. I had an opportunity to potentially join Sigma Alpha Gamma Military Fraternity Incorporated. The Theta,
Theta Nu Psi.
The Theta Nu Psi Military Fraternity Incorporated, or a new upstart squad in Psi Rho Phi Military Fraternity Incorporated. So, or you got others, Kappa Lambda Chi. That is, you know what I'm saying, that seems like there's a whole bunch of them already. Of course, I'm quote unquote, let's say if I was a free agent, I look at that and take into consideration. My draw was that this is an up and coming organization to where I sit up and might have some owners to buy into it to help to build it to what it is now, where it's thought to be one of those, you know what I'm saying, up and coming, highly talented career organization. I could have went to any of the other organizations and just been a potential number, i.e. a bench player, i.e., you know, saying someone coming off the bench that's just seen. But no, I'm over here and I'm a starter. That's you know what I'm saying. So when it comes down to it, you take it into consideration. I'm sick with this pen. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying. So when you break it down, like that's the thing. So now you know what I'm saying. Uh, excellent brother, Pool is over there to where now, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we don't have it to where, but presumably he could be a most excellent brother at this point because he's going and he's building, you know what I'm saying? He's going to be seen as one of those people that's sought after, seen after. He's going to be over there to be a starter. He has a ring that says that I've been there, I've done this. This is what it looks like. You know what I'm saying? This is what it comes out to. And so that's what's going to, I think that's what he brings to the table along with a couple of others. So I think he might be in a better a better opportunity. Of course, like I said, he was forced into that opportunity, but you know what I'm saying? But it might not be an opportunity. No different from hell. When I was in the military, I was forced to go to the boards. I wasn't on no, I want to get promoted type stuff. I was forced to go to those boards. And then I got promoted in the process of that, you know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying, and started to shape me as a leader. Sometimes you are forced to do things in which you don't want to, but instinct doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing. And what it comes out to be. So, and it ain't like he ain't getting paid for this.
I mean,
So,
facts, straight facts. I mean, I got you. I applaud your example. I applaud your example. I don't know. For me, it's just I get it. It's the Wizards though. The difference between your example is the Wizards. It's the Wizards. Cyber 5 was something that was just created. The Wizards have been around for years, and their track record is just not there. Their track record in recruiting talent and keeping talent in Washington is just look. They just lost the part owner, in Michael Jordan. He gone.
well, no, that was Charlotte. That's Charlotte.
That's right.
But I bring that, I bring that up. But that's right. Like you said, that's Charlotte, and that's you know what I'm saying, and that comes up. You know what I'm saying again. He said DC is unforgiving.
That's Bill. I hope he does well, but they got to do better. That part, they just lost Bradley. That's right, Bradley gone.
But you know what? That's a good point, Commissioner Myers. So what if Bradley Beal goes to Phoenix and doesn't do that great? What does that say? Like, what is the? Are we expecting right out the gate for Phoenix to be off to the races and going, or is
with Bradley?
With Bradley. Currently, what we know is they got Aiden, Bradley,
Booker,
Durant, and Booker.
Mm-hmm.
Are we expecting them out the gate to be like
contenders? Absolutely, yes.
So that's what we put it on there.
But I think listen. I think that's not only because they added Bradley Beal. I think we still had them being right. Even with Chris Paul being sent out of there, I still think, or with Aiden, because initially everybody was thinking that Aiden wasn't going to stay in Phoenix.
I still think Aiden going to be on the move, but okay.
Okay. And so I just feel like, I still feel like because you got because you got Booker and KD, I still think they would be considered a contender. Now that they've added Bill, got rid of CP3, I think they're even more of a contender. I just,
right now, right now, you are not saying committing to it fully, but right here, right now, your thoughts is
they can come out the West. Yes,
Phoenix comes out the West.
Can come out the West. Yes.
Not the reigning Western Conference NBA champion Denver Nuggets that got handled by. But right now, with the addition of Bradley Beal,
I think they can.
Phoenix comes out the West.
I think now again, like you said, this is season start. This is right. This free agencies, all of that. This is pre-start. Yes, I feel like Phoenix can come out the West right now. But again, like you say, we'll definitely have to see. The only time will tell. But I feel like adding Bradley Beal is definitely a extra coat of armor to help them come to get past Denver and all of them.
So that I just wondered. I was like, what if Bradley goes there and doesn't write off? Like, does Phoenix get a mulligan? Do they get an opportunity to kind of like get into a chemistry, or is it if they don't go at minimum, if they don't go Western Conference Championship this year, are they considered a bust out the gate?
Phoenix?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they don't lead the West and if they
Mhm.
don't win the West, are they considered a bust at this point? Where it's going to be like, oh, that was all for nothing.
So hold on now. If they don't lead the West,
If
and
they
what?
don't lead the West, so if they don't lead the West, i.e., becoming the number one seed in the West, or if they don't, because in state you got to take into consideration all in all. Yes, Bradley Beal was added, but everyone else was on Phoenix squad.
Right. And I don't
Denver
think
taking care of them.
they wasn't leading. They wasn't leading when they had CP3. Suns to conference finals if they trade Ayton or campaign for a couple of players. Okay. If they trade Aiden or Payne or campaign.
Which is interesting, the Cameron Payne became even the de facto point guard, or unless they're going to make what's his name Booker the run the point,
Mm-hmm.
the de facto point guard, or still what is going to remain to be seen. Is there a possibility to bring in a James Harden or someone like that, Kyrie Irving? Is there any willing and dealing potential to bring in that? Would that even make sense? I don't think that makes sense because I think they would run into the same problem which they had after they traded for KD. They had no bench, so they couldn't contend with the likes of Denver because they had no bench. When they had to sit up and send those players that was a starting five to the bench, they had no one to come in outside of Josh Okogie, and he definitely wasn't enough. So, but yes, trading Aiden, I think, is it worth to trade Aiden and bring in someone that's more conducive, like Christian Wood, who is still in Dallas, that could potentially be a trade. JaVale McGee, maybe that could be a trade. Going overseas and bringing back Dwight Howard, is that potential to to something make it to where I bring in a rim protector, going over to Denver and poaching DeAndre Jordan or something like that? Like, is it out there? Do they need is a center with what they have already now in Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Booker? Is there a need for a DeAndre Ayton, or is that just a?
You said is there a need
DeAndre Ayton? Yeah,
in Phoenix or anywhere?
In Phoenix, do they need a DeAndre Ayton? I myself, I would move DeAndre Ayton.
I wouldn't either. I think I'd keep him there. I personally feel like there's a need for him in Phoenix. In my personal opinion, I just feel like he needs to figure out a way. Like in my opinion, I feel like DeAndre Ayton is like an AD. He has to find ways to be more relevant on the court. He's not doing enough to help out.
I don't think it's enough balls around for him now. That's why I think he needs to move. They need to move him. I don't think there's enough balls to go around for him now. They need to move him to bring in something. That's crazy talk. I think they need to move him.
Nothing like that.
Nothing like
Here he go. Here he go, bro. Here
I think they need to move DeAndre Ayton and bring hopefully to bring back some depth.
And so if you bring it, if you move DeAndre, who do you plug in?
In moving DeAndre, I'm finding someone along with other things to plug in. So it would be, I would move DeAndre because right now operating DeAndre doesn't. There's, in my opinion, there's not enough balls to go around to do that. So all we need to do is bring in a rim protector.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, CC. That's why I say he needs to do more. Lead the league in rebounds or blocks or something. Right. That's why I say he's not doing enough. If he can compel himself to do more, and like you say, in one of those two areas, like then that he would definitely be a sure, you know what I'm saying, asset.
He's gone. I'm very sure they can bring back plenty for him. And that being said, it's like a double down, like what Cornelius is saying, lead the league in rebounds or blocks or something. I think I can bring in someone else to do that. That doesn't need to score or need the ball. Someone in the mode of Kevon Looney. Looney cleans the boards. But you don't expect Looney to give you 15, 20 points, and nor does he expect to get 15 or 20 points, or does he ask for the ball like that. He cleans the boards. He does exactly what he needs to do. Something like same thing like Larry Sanders back in the day that used to sit up and swat everything that was around, averaging 3 blocks a game. You wasn't expecting Larry Sanders to sit up and get you points. You expected Larry Sanders to protect the rim. So that's what they need, I think, and that's what they need to trade off to bring in that type of player to do that without having to worry about. Of course, yes, here and there he's going to get some. He's going to get fed here and there. I don't expect him to be pointless, but you know what I'm saying, or he needs to have the ability to score. But instead is I would bring. That's what I was looking for, as well as bringing back other pieces to even one sit on my bench. That's going to be give me added depth in my from my role players or assets later on down the line, and just be serviceable. That's like the JaVale McGee type players, to where we're not expecting you to get points. We expect you to play defense, protect the rim, get rebounds, give us second chance opportunities and stuff like that. DeAndre Ayton does that or can do that, but he also needs to eat too. I don't want to starve my man, you know what I'm saying? But it's like now
because he has no value.
Yeah, but we just added another mouth to feed. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, hey, it's got to go. So I would definitely move DeAndre Ayton. He would be the one I would move. He's the most. I would have DeAndre Ayton.
Hold on. Let me see. Who did Phoenix pick up in the draft?
Did they pick up
Kamara? Yeah, Kamara.
He's a center, right?
50 pick 52. I think so. Yeah, Taumani Kamara. Pick 52. 4. Oh, that was round 2. Hold on. That was round 2. I'm sorry.
That's why they didn't have any picks in the first round.
Oh, they didn't have none? Not one?
They didn't have any picks in the first round. Yeah, they only had one pick in the whole draft. They traded.
Really? They traded it because of KD. Yeah.
So yeah, they didn't have any.
They didn't have no pick. Yeah. So in the second round, that was they had Kamara. Taumani Kamara, round 2. Yeah.
Yeah, 6'8", and he's not even. So
that's center. That's not a center. That's like a small forward.
Yeah. But of course, like I said, you got the draft coming. I mean, the pre-agency coming. So it's still the second part of it next week. You know what I'm saying? About this time next week, we'll be talking about the moves and stuff like that, and see what
absolutely
is to talk about.
Because things are steady. Things are steady moving.
No, we don't know what you're saying. Coming weeks, there might be more trades. We didn't see Kristaps Porzingis getting traded to Boston.
Didn't see that one. Didn't see Marcus Smart going over to
Memphis.
Memphis.
So it's like we didn't see that coming. We didn't see Bradley Beal going to Phoenix initially, or Chris Paul. Although we talked about it, we don't think that's going to make too much of a difference. Although it might help. But Chris Paul going to so it's a couple of things that's still out there. You still got players. Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot that still can happen within the next couple of weeks. Leading up into to what then I don't know. Time will tell. This is what I like about it, though. I ain't gonna lie. This part, seeing the movements, seeing where everybody could possibly go, where they're landing. This is what I love about it, because you just the expectations, the surprises on that's everything to me.
As you get to see this is the time for the GMs to work. This is where they make their money.
This is where they make their money. Yep. This is where they make their money.
This is what they wait for every year to build a bigger and better team. And for those who already have a team, they can sit up and get an opportunity to show the sustainment. Of course, like you said, championship caliber teams, i.e. Golden State, they got a new captain of the ship in Mike Dunleavy Jr. So now he's going to be judged on what he can do in reference to the organization, filling the shoes of Bob Meyer. No different from, which is kind of like often, which no one has really talked about, in which we probably engage next week. Grant Hill filling the shoes of Colangelo, because he's now the chairman and operator of the Olympic team. So we now get to see, is Grant Hill going to be able to lead the U.S. to put together a team that's going to be sustainable to win the gold medal in the worlds, as well as in worlds, as well as the Olympics, or does he falter or something like that? Again, additionally, um, even bringing it a little more down to our era, we already know as we get ready to close out here in the coming weeks, the men's and women's Battle of the Shield with Coach Wayne and company putting together tournament in the over in Orlando, to where the biggest and brightest stars in the military basketball have an opportunity to link up, almost like a TBT. In my opinion, that's what is coming out. The TBT of military basketball is what this is potentially coming out to do. Teams link up, get together. Only thing that isn't on stake is any of the cheddar, but in any case, they're linking up and getting together. Men and women putting together teams to compete. 7 women's teams, 20 men's teams, I think, a 19 men's team. So that's going down July 9th, 7th through the 9th in Orlando. And then in September, the Military Basketball Association, speaking of, team people being put together, will have their all-star game, of course, where already named Coach Paris and Coach Alex Miller from the CMB go at it again head to head, as they are both named as head coaches for the Eastern Spec, or how what the NBA breaks down their team. So another situation. So breaking it down into levels, is levels to it. So that's all going down. That's going to be in September in Oklahoma City. September the I think 15th or 16th or something like that. So that's a whole vibe of both those organizations, and then you start to fall back into military basketball all together. You got then of course you got worlds in softball, soccer, and all that type of stuff. So it's getting back in the years of the military athlete going on. NFL's getting ready to start off, kick off. That's coming. College football is coming.
Yes.
As I said in the top of the hour, the LSU and Florida will be facing off for the College World Series Championship.
Yep.
Guaranteed the SEC team that's going to win. I'm very sure Bishop is going to claim that because Oklahoma and Texas are about to be part of the SEC. So
that part.
Look, he wins again. This is time for me. But of course, SEC is representing well again. Like I said, college football is coming back. My last year as a constituent with the Pac-12, and then I move on with my beloved team to the Big Ten. So in which y'all running. Oh well, y'all ain't running. Y'all in the Big 12. I was going to say y'all running.
No,
that's what we should have moved to the Big 12.
And we definitely ain't running.
Y'all running.
Definitely
so
ain't running.
A lot going
we
on.
To the best conference, the hardest conference. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, now they're the best hardest. Oh my God!
I've always said SEC was the best hardest conference. I've always said that. That's not even debatable. Everybody knows the SEC is the hardest conference. That's not even debatable. In football, yes, I'm talking about in football. Yeah, only speaking of football. I can't say who the hardest conference is. It would probably be the hardest conference in women's softball. Would probably be the Big 12, but in football. It could be the Big 12 or the Pac-12 in women's softball, actually, because y'all in softball, yes, y'all do put out some talent out in softball, but it's not the SEC in college softball, but yeah, in football definitely the SEC. That's not even debatable.
Well, I mean, now it's shifting to potentially.
Oh, well, now it's shifting, but it's made it even more harder now, though. The SEC is definitely more. Definitely, with adding us in Texas, like that just catapulted us even more up there. More now, now Big 12 may have fallen now that we've left and y'all went to the Big 10 and things of that nature. Yeah, Big 12 probably ain't as high. Big 12 is probably not as high as they used to be. Yeah.
But don't worry. We still gonna give Dion gonna get his before we leave. On our way out the door, Dion gonna get his. So you know what I'm saying. Dion just talking that stuff. You know what I'm saying.
He got his resume speak for itself right now. Hey, what up, bro? What up?
What's going on, Calvin?
What's up, Alvin? What's up?
No rest. That's we're
So
definitely.
y'all gonna give Dion his
Oh yeah,
business before?
we got some parting gift out the door. So some for Dion, some for Utah. We got some for everything. Matter of
Oh,
fact,
the
I'm
youth.
just gonna say that now. USC wins the Pac-12 on the way out the door.
Woo. Okay. All right. That's a good way to go. That's a good way to go.
Yes, it is. Caleb
That's a
Williams
good way.
is leaving with the Pac-12 championship,
Mm.
and his second Heisman Trophy. Like it's gonna
Mm. Mm.
Alvin, get off the show.
But don't worry about it, Alvin. We're gonna talk. Bro. Stay tuned. We gonna talk. We definitely gonna talk, bro.
In any case, we greatly appreciate y'all tapping in this morning as we get ready to fall off. Y'all know where to find us. We'll be back Monday. We'll see what's going on. We'll be able to talk about what probably will be the crowning of the College World Series champion coming out. More NBA conversation. I'm very sure there's going to be more talks on who is going where and what. Major League Baseball going on still. Catch whatever fights. We might get talking about this Canelo versus Charlo fight.
That part.
Bud versus Spence. Of course, we're gonna be out in Atlanta during that fight, but I'm still gonna catch it as best I can. Yes, they are, Alvin. All right, you can come back on the show, Alvin. Okay.
What do you say? USC is also going to be very tough this year. Oh Lord, see, you was good until you came on there with that.
But yeah, so plenty, most likely to talk about. Maybe have a couple of guests on here and there. So always a vibe. So we greatly appreciate y'all being in, tapping in this morning, and checking with us. Look forward to seeing y'all Monday. Business. Any final words before we get out of here for this weekend?
Nah, man, y'all just be easy, man. Enjoy y'all weekend. Be safe. I holler back at y'all, man. Thank y'all for tuning in to the best sports show on the air. First Formation. We'll holler back at y'all Monday through Friday, 09 to 1100 hours Central Standard Time. Y'all have a great one. Y'all have a great weekend. Peace out. You know what I'm saying? Fall, as they like to say, fall out. Syro Phi Military Fraternity Incorporated. Peace.